All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Monday afternoon. The Blizzard edition of Knicks Weekly, episode 144. CP the franchise in the building. We got an action-packed show for you guys today. As you see, I brought a panel with me because we got a lot to talk about. We're going to open the show breaking down another Giannis trade rumor. Mark Stein really stirring the pot over the weekend with a plausible scenario in which maybe the Knicks will finally land Giannis. So for the Giannis people out there, this episode is for you. Make sure you lock in there. And then we got our guy Justin Morelli of the Shot Clock Show back on the show. We're going to recap the week that was for the New York Knicks. Knicks going 2-1 on the campaign. Seemed to really settle in after a debacle on MLK Day. Knicks bounced back very strong to end the week, and we'll take a look at the week ahead. So hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. Salute to the replay gang, salute to our loyal franchise channel members, and everybody snowed in. Let's lock in, man. Snow day, cut day. Let's go. All right, man, fellas, how we doing, man?
Good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're on both coasts. You know, me and Justin here on the East Coast. Yossi you out on the West Coast. You missed a good snowstorm, man. You missed a good one, man.
I heard a good thing just now. I hope everyone's staying warm, staying safe. I've never been through anything quite like that, being out in the West Coast, but I hope everyone is sitting tight during this.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man. Got over a foot of snow out here, so we're doing well. You know, like I said, man, it's just a little balance, and that's what life's all about, man. It's a little reset. That's it, man. Got to go through the storm, right, Justin? To get to the spring and the summer, man, you got to go through it.
And the actual snow isn't the problem. It's the aftermath of the snow, right? Like when it's happening, you're like, all right, this is kind of fire. Like I'm inside. Like we had football on yesterday anyway. You had some other stuff going on. So you're like, all right, cool. The rest of the week, when it gets like nasty, that's where it's going to be an issue. Yeah,
that's it, and it is Brick City here. But getting into it, man. Getting into it with the Giannis stuff. So this was an excerpt from Mark Stein's newsletter over the weekend, speaking on Giannis getting injured. He's out with the calf injury, but the Bucks continue to slide. They're damn near hovering near the basement of the East, and the Giannis watch continues in terms of what happens to him during the trade deadline. And so, as Mark Stein says, look, a lot of teams are getting involved here and still trying to pitch an offer to the Bucks to pry Giannis away. And according to his newsletter over the weekend, he said one team to look out for as it relates to the Giannis to New York talks is the Portland Trailblazers. He says Portland is definitely a team to track here when it comes to an eventual Giannis outcomes. No one is suggesting that a trade to the Blazers is a scenario that the Giannis camp would push for, but Portland still controls Milwaukee's draft capital in 28, 29, and 30, thanks to the Drew Holiday for Dame Lillard swap. And according to Mark Stein, he says, I'm told Blazers officials have always viewed Giannis's potential Milwaukee exit as a chance to improve their own roster by jumping into a multi-team deal. Now, we all know as it relates to the Knicks, that is the help that they're going to need to get to offer Milwaukee a deal that is sufficient to pry Giannis away. And according to Mark Stein, he says there's an absolute down-the-road world where the Blazers could try to get into a Milwaukee and New York Giannis to the Knicks talks. File this away, he says. Portland has long admired the Knicks' Mikal Bridges going back to the Lillard days. So now, as a result of that, Justin, everybody put the tinfoil hats on. They got on the trade machine, and our guys over at the Third Apron, Yossi and Sam Quinn, cooked up a scenario here, man. So, Yossi, I'll let you take it away, man. Let's break down. Which one do you want to break down? Yours or Sam's first?
Let's break down Sam's first.
Yeah, let's go to Sam's first because that one's a little bit safer. All right, so let me pull that one up. So to everybody in the chat, man, let me pull up Sam's tweet here, and this one involving Mikal Bridges. So let me get Sam Quinn, and we'll take a look at his tweet, his scenario here, and then we'll take a look at Yossi's. Okay, so all right, let's break this one down. So we've got the Knicks getting Giannis and Jeremy Grant in a 3-team blockbuster. Going to the Bucks, Karl Anthony Towns, Deuce McBride, Pacome Dadier, the Wizards' first-round pick that the Knicks own, the Blazers' first-round pick via Orlando in 28, a 28 Milwaukee Bucks swap, a 30 Milwaukee Bucks swap going back to Milwaukee from the Blazers, and then the Knicks giving up their 2030 round 1 pick, in which Milwaukee gets the swap, and the 2032 round 1 pick where Milwaukee gets the swap. And then going to the Blazers, Mikal Bridges and Gershon Yabusele. Your thoughts, man?
So he actually ended up expanding this to have the Bulls take on Karl Anthony Towns and they give up picks. Mm-hmm. So essentially, the Knicks getting Giannis, it's going to come down to a couple things. The first is you got to get a couple more teams involved, because if the Bucks are trading Giannis, they're not going to be good. Getting OG Anunoby, getting Karl Anthony Towns or Mikal Bridges doesn't really make that much sense to them unless they're going to reroute those guys later. Mm-hmm. So that's number one. The more teams you get involved, the more of the things the Bucks would want they can get. Number two, with Portland, they're like exactly the type of team that would help facilitate, not just because of their desire to get these wings. They mentioned Mikal Bridges. I remember Chris Haynes reported right before they drafted Shaden Sharp that they were interested in trading the pick that they ended up using on him for OG Anunoby. So there's definitely, if the interest is still there, there's something to be done. Mm-hmm. And with that trade they did with the Bucks, trading them Damian Lillard, they now have control of the Bucks picks between 28 and 2030. So this is also a chance for the Bucks to get some control of their picks back. Maybe not all of them. The Blazers have other picks also they could offer. They could offer their own. They have an extra one by the Magic. So there's a lot of things aligning where the Blazers can be a facilitator. So as far as this trade works, and mm-hmm. I'm sure it'd be even bigger, mm-hmm. I think it's a pretty good start. The Bucks can get more picks this way. The Jeremy Grant, I think, seems like a very interesting piece where the Blazers would very certainly be trading him if they're bringing back Mikal Bridges or OG Anunoby. And I think if you're the Knicks, you're going to want a wing back. So he's been better this year. It's still a negative value contract. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's not going to at all replace what either of the current wings they have give, but it's something, and chances are they're going to have to take back a bad contract like that in the process. So maybe it could work out really well. So I think this is just like the start of what the framework could look like. It's a good like starting point for sure. So
for Grant, how much years does he have left on his deal?
Grant's got 2 more after this, including the player option for 27-28.
Got it.
So the Knicks would have then, you presumably extend Giannis. He'd be on the books through 2031 or 2032, mm-hmm. something like that. You have Brunson on the books through around then. Whoever you're keeping between Bridges or OG, I think Grant would be aligned pretty much with everybody else where it stands. So in the short term, it's fine. Just the biggest thing is, can he make it work in this system that they have? You lose a little bit defensively, but the Knicks aren't exactly in the position where they could pick and choose exactly who they want to surround Giannis with the lack of tradable draft picks they have.
Right, and then in this scenario, you're looking at it as, okay, the Blazers get involved, the Bucks get more picks, including some of their own, which they lost control of in the Jrue Holiday trade. So that can kind of help them in their rebuild. You get a good young player ready to play in Miles McBride. You get an all-star caliber player in Karl Anthony Towns. You get Dadier to throw in. Now, the last 2 Knicks picks down there were under swaps. In this scenario, would this be more of a draft day type of trade, given that this is a 2030 and 2032 pick? In terms of what the Knicks are eligible to trade at this point versus when the new league year starts in the summer?
I would say more of a trade deadline trade, but a little of both, because right now, as things stand, they cannot trade their even numbered picks just by the step-in rule, because they trade all their odd numbered picks. So they can trade those even numbered picks now or later as swaps. But once you get to the offseason, this is why I think the Bucks are going to, no matter what, stretch this out until the offseason. Every team then opens up a new draft pick they could trade 7 years into the future. So it'd be 2033. The Knicks would be able to trade their 2033 first round pick as well. Once you're on draft night, you can trade your 2026 pick as well. It's not going to be a very valuable one. It'll be in the 20s, but that's just another thing that the Knicks will be able to add to their package. So that's why I'm thinking no matter what, they're probably Bucks are going to stretch this. There is a way the Knicks could open up more first round picks. It involves the Nets. I could get into that. It'd be a pretty crazy pick swap to try to get a deal done now. It's unlikely, but as
the Nets owe us though.
As time goes on, then it gets easier for the Knicks to put something together. More time to plan, and they get more stuff just by waiting to trade later.
All right, Justin, what do you think on the basketball, front? What do you think, man? When you look at this, man, Bridges,
I think, first of all,
Towns, Bridges, and say Deuce. I forget Yabusele, forget that here. Towns, Bridges, and Deuce out of here. You're getting Giannis and you're getting Jeremy Grant.
I think, first of all, shout out Jeremy Grant, Syracuse, the whole thing. First of all, I think from a basketball standpoint, having nothing to do what you think individually about the three players the Knicks are giving up, because they're all good players. Like, where you don't want to give those guys away for nothing. I've heard some people say, let's just dump Cat, or that doesn't make any sense.
You can't do that.
But in this trade, to get Giannis, if you want Giannis and you think Giannis is the piece, this is the best possible trade you can make. Because in my opinion, I said this when they made the Bridges trade, I never thought Bridges fit with this team. Dante was a much better fit with this roster because of the way he plays. Bridges, Hart, and OG are just too redundant with each other, which is why that lineup has never really worked great, even going back to last year. And I think he's almost like, he's a good player, but he would be better suited with another team where he can excel and maximize his potential. I never thought he really fit with this Knicks roster. So I think with that, and I think actually Grant, the Knicks, what could the Knicks use aside from Giannis is athleticism and kind of some speed. And I think Grant kind of sneakily gives them that, which might be better than what they have on the roster right now. Obviously, you hate to lose Deuce. Deuce is a great piece, and he's young, and he's on a good contract and all those things. But as they say, it's the cost of doing business. And I think for a trade like this, if you can get Giannis to pair with Jalen Brunson, and the Knicks don't really have, like Yossi correctly pointed out, they don't have a lot of ways to get this done, right? Like, they're going to have to be creative with what they did with the previous trades with Kat and Mikhail. This is like, they have to really be very specific about how they're going to make a trade for Giannis if they can get it done. And I think three things have to be true. Giannis has to completely force his way to New York for them to even entertain this, even with multiple teams. Like I think Yossi said, Portland being involved is huge, because then at least they get their swap rights back where they have control. Then if they want to tank, they can do that, which I think is a huge thing for them. And Portland has to still be very interested in Mikhail, because Mikhail hasn't exactly helped his trade value the last 2 years. You know, if you're just looking off his Knicks tenure, he hasn't helped his trade value, right? Like, so I think in terms of the actual trade, I think any Knicks fan, you'd have to drive these guys to the airport if you get this trade done. I mean, let's just be real about it. That's kind of my thoughts.
Oh, man. You ready to trade Deuce, man? That's tough, bro.
I'm not.
That's
but
tough, man.
I think the thing is, which I think a lot of people still wonder, is like, even if this Knicks roster works great, are they good enough defensively with Kat and Jalen on the floor together? Like, I think that's always been the question since they made the trade in the first place. They haven't proved that yet. Even if everything works great, that's going to be an issue. So I think if Giannis wants to come here, and that's a huge factor, you, as you know, CP and Yossi, free agency doesn't really exist anymore in the NBA with this new CBA. So you're going to have to make a trade for someone. And the chances of a guy this quality, this caliber becoming available that the Knicks can trade for because he wants to go there is going to be so slim. So if you don't think this roster is the roster that can win a championship, then I think this is the deal. And look, there's concerns with Giannis and now his health with these calf injuries. I think that's a very valid thing for people that are against this trade, right? I think that's totally valid. But I'm of the belief of, I think this Knicks team, if everything works out, they could get to the finals still. I believe that. I don't think they can win a championship with this roster. I don't think it's a great roster. And I think if you can get Giannis and not give up OG and not give up Jalen and still have enough depth, and you're bringing in Jeremy Grant in that case to provide that, I think it's worth doing at the end of the day.
I do like Grant coming back, because my biggest thing is how did they supplement the depth that they lost, and in this one you're losing Bridges, you're losing Deuce as well. So I think bringing back Jeremy Grant, who can help you on both sides of the ball, versatile as well, in terms of guarding the 3 and the 4, I think that would be great. I would probably do this, to be honest with you. I probably would. Now, the question is, you're bringing in Giannis. You talked about the calf injuries. Are you bringing him in to play the 5? Or are you bringing him in to play alongside Mitch at the 5? Then you're putting more tax on Mitch. Is that sustainable? I think we got to think about that.
I think you're right, and that's something I forgot to bring up. I don't think that front court works with Mitch and Giannis. There's not enough shooting on the floor there. They're going to be compromised from probably a spacing standpoint. You're going to have to really be, your other 3 guys in the court are going to have to be very good shooters at that point. You have Jalen there, obviously, but what is that going to look like? I think then you got to explore can you get another center in there? You know what I mean? Can you get a different center who can space the floor? That's why ultimately, I know this is never going to happen, Yossi. But Miles Turner would be an ideal get back in any trade, because he is the perfect type of archetype center for them to put with this roster. He's a good defensive player, especially at the rim. He can stretch the floor. He's obviously a really good 3-point shooter, and he doesn't need the ball in his hands. So if you can you expand the deal to acquire a center like that? Because I think no matter how much CP loves Mitch, and I know that's your guy, the block monster, the whole thing. My guy. Yeah. I think at this point we can see if he plays more than 20 minutes a game, he gets compromised from a health standpoint, and even from just a stamina standpoint at this point in his career. I think he's best suited off the bench in a 20 to 25-minute role where he can wreak havoc. Some games he's going to close, some games he might not, but he's valuable in that role. I think they would still need a starting center to come in the deal elsewhere if they're getting rid of Cat. So I agree with you on that.
Yoshi, your thoughts? As he's saying, could a Turner get involved in this type of deal? I mean, for Milwaukee, if you're getting rid of Giannis, you really have no use for Miles Turner.
I think the Bucks will definitely look to trade Turner after, but I'm not sure the Knicks will have enough left to get him as well. I think the Bucks will look to probably able to optimize the value for Turner in a separate deal. I think there's a very good chance that the Knicks might have to go into the following season if they get Giannis, with him being like their starting center, or if not, playing a lot as their main big man. Because if they do any of these frameworks where they get Grant back, they're not getting back another big man. I don't know how I feel about starting Giannis with Mitch. Yeah. I get the feeling like I'm sure Mike Brown will try it, but I could see him just going away from that and just trying. We'll see how. I have a lot of offensive issues there, but maybe could work. Giannis is he's a lot more versatile than I think a lot of us might even give him credit for. So they might have to play a lot smaller though at times, and then they'll have to figure out how to get another big man later, which I think might dovetail well to one of the other things we should talk about. The fact that some of these names that other role players they've been linked to, Jose Alvarado, Yves Missi, Jeremy Sohan. The thing that all these guys have in common is they're making pretty small money for NBA standards. They make kind of like what Miles McBride is making. Yeah. And McBride making the amount of money he is so critical for the Knicks being able to sustain the level of depth that they have coming off their bench. So it's no coincidence that these guys are who they're hoping to get, guys under team control for at least another 1 year to help sustain what the Knicks have going right now. And that would help a lot if they end up doing a Giannis trade, because it's going to be hard to get. It's going to be hard to get depth, and it's going to be hard also if they do the trade next year. They would have to. The difference between doing it now and later is that if they do it now, they don't have to worry about the second apron next year. They can blow past it, re-sign Mitch, re-sign their minimum guys, not worry about that hard cap. Once you do it next offseason, you're aggregating, then you trigger that second apron hard cap. Now you're gonna have a budget. So I think the Knicks might be preparing for that scenario, which is why they might want to try to bring in some of these cheaper players now. So if they do need to bring in Giannis on a budget, they could at least have some semblance of depth. Hopefully keep Mitchell Robinson as well. He's really their big one free agent that they have to give like above minimum money to.
So yeah. So you're saying it would benefit the Knicks if they try to do this at the deadline versus in the offseason. But from a Milwaukee, 100%, from a Milwaukee standpoint, it would probably benefit them because then you get to the offseason, you get to the new league year, you get another year of first-round pick that the Knicks can now put in a deal and get that back into Milwaukee. So now they have, some future draft capital to work with.
Yeah, and I think another reason for that is it could help them potentially not have to trade OG Anunoby. And that this might be a good point to load up my trade now because mine features OG to the Blazers. And
yeah, that's interesting.
We're loading it up. Here we go. This is your version of the trade. Here we go.
And by the way, Yossi, quick question too. If I'm not mistaken, Mikal can't be traded until like February 1st or 2nd anyway, right?
I think he's now trade eligible now. I think that restriction passed. I'm pretty sure or maybe not. Maybe it is like February 1st. So he'll be trade eligible.
Okay.
It's coming up.
So wait, hang on. Before you we go to OG on the Mikal thing. Speaking on that, the contract extension. How would that impact the trade if it's made at the deadline? Because he's technically would that salary number be the number by February 1st, or is that still a next year or next offseason type of thing?
Oh yeah. So it would count as whatever he is now, like 24, 25. But if he's traded in the offseason, if it's in July, then he counts as his new number, which is 33.5. But I don't think that's too important.
Yeah.
So before I just want to say, I'm a huge fan of OG Anunoby. I love his game.
Yeah.
Love him.
I don't think it's really like a question. If the Knicks had to choose to keep one of them, you keep OG. But if they can do the trade now at the trade deadline, and you don't have to worry about the second apron next year, it's much easier to have Giannis on a max, OG making 40-something million, Brunson making as much as he is, and then you still have Hart. You can re-sign Mitch, fill out the rest of the roster. You're not worried about the second apron. That factors in also if they bring in another big contract like a Jeremy Graham. Mm-hmm. If you got to do it next year and now you're trying to budget the roster under the second apron, it's a lot easier to make that work with Mikal Bridges making 33.5 versus OG making almost $10 million more.
That's right.
So like I made I went through it. I made like a couple scenarios in my cap sheet lab, and that's the thing. Like, if I would rather keep OG, but if it comes to having to trade him, and partly because maybe the Blazers would want him more, and I would want him more, even though that contract, like you can argue Bridges might be a better contract, but I think OG just like such a more impactful player. Then in the end, like it's not that devastating, I suppose, when you consider that trading OG makes it easier to fill out the rest of the roster under those potential constraints. So the one I threw out, it's a 4-teamer. The Bulls are getting Cat. They send like a pick to the Bulls. I mean, the Bucks. The Bucks don't have to take back any bad money. And so pretty much everything else is similar, just with OGs going to the Blazers. Blazers are sending picks to the Bucks. Knicks get off their Frenchmen. And as you could see, I've got the Knicks also sending their swaps. I just want to touch on what I was saying earlier. This is like if it was a trade deadline deal. So if it was in the offseason, then they could trade 2 picks.
Right.
But there's a way like maybe they could do a deal with the Nets where, hey, Brooklyn, how about we give you our pick swaps in 2030 and 2032, and in exchange they give back picks in like the Knicks picks in 31, 29. Maybe they also Knicks swap their 26 and get their 27 back, and then now you could trade 28, 30, 32. They wouldn't be good picks, but that is just the way the Bucks can get extra picks. Make it seem like they got a higher raw number of picks. They could get like up to 6 first-round picks. It's unlikely. I don't know how the Nets would feel about something like that, trading picks for swaps. But That's just a way, like an unlikely way the Knicks could get more picks right now. I think, but because of difficulty in that, I think that's why it's most likely an offseason thing once they can actually trade more of their own picks. So that's the thing. I'd love for the Knicks to, I think everyone would agree. Like you got to keep OG, but as we get closer to the offseason, then it might not work out that way, unfortunately.
All right, so in this one, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, rate this trade. So this one, the Knicks would get the depth back. You get Giannis, you get Jeremy Grant, you get Matisse Thybulle. You bring his brother in. Their package deal. You get Thanasis in for your cheerleader. So you got your end of the bench guy, your 15th guy for your cheerleading. You get some depth at the wing. But you're losing the dog, man. You got the dog going to the Blazers. Gary Trent Jr. going to the Blazers. First-round pick from the Bulls going to the Blazers as well. With the Bulls getting Karl Anthony Towns, Gary Harris, Taurean Prince, and then the Bucks getting Nikola Vucevic, Patrick Williams, Yabusele, Esenge. You get Dadier, and then a boatload of picks. Justin, your thoughts, man? I can't lose a dog, man. I can't lose a dog, man.
This would be tougher for me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Because I think the difference between Mikal and OG is OG has one very elite skill. Mikal is like a good all-around player, but I don't think he has an elite skill that you say, okay, he can win us a game with this. Like OG's on-ball defense, his size to be able to guard anyone on the floor, except maybe a Tyrese Maxey. Everyone else he can pretty much handle. That's something that, especially bringing in Giannis. Giannis, as good a defender as he is, he's not known for his on-ball defenses. He is more of like a free safety on the floor. So I think that you lose your best on-ball defender. You don't really have someone to replace that. That would be very tough, I think, to lose if I'm the Knicks. And I would have to think much harder about that than I would about the Bridges deal. I think the Bridges deal, ultimately, I think you would have to make, if you like Giannis, unless you think this team can win a championship. If you don't, then I think you got to make that deal. The OG trade is just like, man, the dog, like,
I can't
and he isn't, and I'm telling you this, by the way, without him having even played well for a while. He's been pretty below average for his standards up until the Sixers game, before that. So I think that's how much he means to this team. And you saw when he was traded over to the Knicks, he completely transformed the team by himself. Remember when he first was traded, the Knicks were like 12-1 before Julius got hurt. And they looked like a totally different team from what they were before. He has been kind of the guy that when he goes, the Knicks go, right? Like, and I think when you lose that, I would have a lot of trouble doing that. I think I would have enough confidence in my negotiation skills to convince the Blazers to take Mikal and let's keep OG in the fold. That's how it would look. And the last thing I would say to Yossi, I would be absolutely shocked. And I would tell you this, I would shut down the shot clock page the day the Nets agreed to help the Knicks with a trade. I don't see them saying, hey, you know what? We'll give you, unless it's better for them by a decent amount. Hey, we'll give you a couple of these picks back and we'll take a couple swaps. The day that happens, the shot clock will cease to exist. That's kind of the way I look at it. Even though it's creative and good, that's how I feel.
That's how it costs us 5 picks. They're a tough customer to do business with, but tough partner to do business with. But look, man, I think if I'm doing a Giannis deal, I'm bringing him in because I want to see him and OG create havoc out there on the court. You know what I mean? Like, I need OG here. We saw, just look at the Philadelphia game. Whenever he gets an expanded role, whether you like the turnovers or not, he's got the dog in him. He wants to go for his team. Whenever he gets the rock, he always wants to get it done. That is the difference between OG and Mikal Bridges. You don't have to ask OG to be aggressive. He's going to be aggressive. And like I said, he might lose the ball in the process, but I'd rather go with that mindset, that mentality, the confidence that he has in the offensive end. Forget the defense. That's his staple, right? That's his calling card. We know that. But offensively, man, like, especially if you're going to lose Towns, who is an offensive threat, at least his archetype, you still need to have some sort of semblance of shot creation, not just from the inside like Giannis will give you and dominate at the rim, because I think that's sorely lacking on this Knicks team, but the three-point shooting from OG and everything in between. And then, like I said, defensively, those two guys with Mitch, I got to see how that looks defensively, man. You're not getting inside. You're not getting any good looks with those three guys in the court.
If the Knicks can get Giannis for Cat and Mikal and just 2 picks, executive of the year,
I know you erect a
after
statue.
him. Like,
Forget
that is
executive of the
robbery.
year. He gets a statue in front of the Garden if that happens.
For sure.
Forget that's how great that's how shrewd that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I hope if they can keep OG on top of that, that's a fleece. But we'll see. Like, hopefully for Knicks fans' case, the Blazers see OG's contract as like negative value or something, that they prefer Mikal. We'll see. Based on the reactions, we all know OG is way more valuable, way more impactful. Like, hopefully the Knicks can keep him. Like, that would be it'd be hard to move, but there is a reality they might have to trade him to get Giannis.
One thing to add too, you obviously, the cap, trade so well, you're an expert in that. I'm a dog expert. And I feel like the one thing the Knicks need, and I'm curious to what you guys think about this. I've said this really since they made the Mikal trade. They lost Dante and they lost Isaiah. I feel like they have too many guys on their team that I'd let date my sister. That's how I put it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have too many nice guys on this team. You need to, Giannis, even though he's a great player, he's a dog. Like, you bring in someone like that and you let go of some of this. Like, you look at the Bane play when he threw the ball off of OG. No one came to his aid. No one got in anyone's face.
Giannis is checking that. Giannis is checking the temperature on that.
Same thing with Draymond. The Draymond situation a few games ago. Same thing. There's not enough. And I think teams look at the Knicks, especially when they're not going well, and they say, this team's soft. We can get in their heads and we could push them around. I think more so than anything, whether it's the Giannis trade, I think Alvarado could help that. They need to bring some dog onto this team. They tried to do it with Tucker last year, obviously, but he doesn't play. It needs to be someone who gets regular minutes, who players respect and can back it up on the court. And I think the Giannis trade, especially in losing, Mikal, if he want to take my sister out, I have no issue with it. Hey, seems like a great guy. Go out, have a nice time. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, there's guys like for instance, I don't think they could get him, but Dylan Brooks would be such a key guy to get for this team, because I wouldn't let him near within 10 feet of my family, right? That's the guy I want on my basketball team, if that makes sense.
CB the franchise, Yossi Gosselin, Justin Morelli in the building, man. We got the Blizzard edition of Knicks Weekly, episode 144. Salute to everybody in the chat. We are cooking on this Monday. If you guys are home on the grind, man, throw a hashtag grind in the chat. We will shout you guys out. You guys want to talk to Justin, you want to talk to Yossi, call in with your questions. And then on the second half of the show, we will get to our Knicks Weekly recap with myself and Justin. Shout out to Bronx Guard in the chat. $5 super chat, #1 on the chat leaderboard, and a franchise channel member as well. Says the Knicks can't be stagnant. If there's a possibility to get Giannis, you gotta do it. So Bronx Guard is on it. He's ready to go, pull the trigger. And hey, as it relates to this past week, a lot of these fans are getting ready to pack up Cat and Bridges. So a lot of these fans would be on it, at least with the first scenario. But if we shift to, I think, more gettable players, Yossi, earlier this week, there was also talk about more Alvarado talk, and Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype, your former colleague, talked about the fact that the Knicks are also keeping tabs on Yves Missi. So what do you think about that in exchange for Yabusele, in exchange for Dadier? How do you see that stacking up for both teams?
So the Knicks, they could probably get something done. I have them listed with, just pulling it up, 9 second-round picks, and I'm including 2 by the Wizards. That they have that 26 first-round pick owed by them, top 8 protected. It's going to become 2 second-round picks. So once those become 2 seconds, they effectively have 9 second-round picks to trade. The price to get premier role players, especially at very low salaries, pretty high. Like, there were players at the last few deadlines going for like 4 second-round picks, maybe 5. So I would imagine if you're going to get Jose Alvarado, just as an example, who has that player option at $4.5 million, and it'll be interesting to see, like, if the Knicks get him, what the extension comes out of. He is CAA, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities that maybe they get him to opt in, pick up that 4.5, and then extend him on something pretty big, like to make up for it. He'll be extension eligible starting at the end of September. So you get a lot of value there. I'm guessing it's going to cost like maybe half their draft picks, especially factoring in that they're probably trading Yabusele, who's right now negative value.
You got to incentivize.
Year left. So I'm thinking like 3-4 second round picks at least. So get Yves Missi. I'm a little skeptical that the Knicks can
get.
I'm a little skeptical the Knicks can get two of these guys. I would be a little. They'd have to get pretty creative, especially because even if you're like, I imagine wherever Messi goes, he's gonna thrive a lot more than he is now. It's the Pelicans. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure he'll. Maybe if he doesn't even become like the high end starting center that maybe his biggest believers think he is, but even if he can just be like a pretty reliable backup who plays like 18 to 22 minutes a game, I think that's in the realm of possibility. That's amazing for the Knicks and many other teams. So I could see like another team like the Pacers, for example, doing a better offer. The Pelicans reportedly want Benedict Mathurin. Feels like there's something that could be done there. So it's interesting. The Knicks have been linked to Jose for a while now. Feels like maybe it was going to happen. A lot of times past now, it hasn't happened. I see Brett Siegel talking about it again. Maybe it does still happen. So I think they can definitely get one of those guys. But the big picture is that all these guys that they're being linked to right now, Sohan as well, they're all making pretty little amount. That the Knicks are trying to hopefully stack as many of these guys as possible, because they're not going to be able, as a second apron team, to sign any of these guys, really trade for these guys. They're not going to have much draft picks to take another chance at a young guy like that in the future. They'll have their draft pick this year. Maybe they end up trading it again, like for 5 second-round picks, like they did with the Dylan Jones pick in 2024. Who, funny, they ended up bringing him back on a two-way.
Bringing him back, yeah.
Yeah. So I hopefully they can get like one or two of these guys, because the value of McBride making $4 million. Imagine having another guy like that making $3, $4, $5 million. That's the value. So it makes sense for them to load up on those types of players now while they can, and they can only do that by trading Yabusele, Dadier. It'll be harder to do those types of trades next season.
And Justin, man, the Messi thing is interesting for me. Number one, because you're dealing with Mitch in free agency, but also, let me turn the volume down on the Messi highlights as he's cooking here. Only one of 3 centers in the league to be in the top 10 in offensive rebounding percentage and block percentage. 21 years old, just 21. Got a little bit injured this year and hasn't played all that much with the addition of Derek Queen and with the Pelicans. But I'm with Yossi, man. You put this guy on another team, he's still wild, young, still raw, but has the athleticism that the Knicks could use as some insurance. Number one, this year, if Mitch is hurt or you're not confident in a guy like Huck Porty, or even next year if you lose Mitch in free agency and they decide not to bring him back.
I think you put it exactly right. When I first saw that they were interested in him, it told me that they're prepared to lose Mitch in the offseason, because this looks like a direct Mitch replacement, right? Like almost like a more athletic Mitch replacement to some extent, a younger one, maybe a more healthy one, a more available one that, I mean, you guys both know this. What are the Knicks front office? What have they been very steadfast in doing since they've been here? They don't let guys go for nothing, right? They don't do that. If they don't offer you an extension, that means they're going to get rid of you. Like, that's the way they've done things. They don't usually let stuff like that linger. So I wonder if they were to bring Messi in, would this be a situation where Mitch would be routed somewhere else in a trade, or would they just hold on to him and say, you know what, we'll deal with that in the offseason? That's the first time they would have done that really in their tenure. Does that mean Mitch could be on the move to you if they were to bring Messi in, or do you think they would bring both those guys in and then just have, because I just feel like at that point, then you have like 4 or 5 centers on your roster. Like, that's kind of that's a log jam at that position, even if they do different things when they need other positions. You know what I'm saying?
My instinct is not right away. I wouldn't suspect that just because they get Messi in right now in the next week or so that then they have another trade lined up for Mitch, largely because the uncertainty again with what's going to happen with Towns. Can they get Giannis later? How many centers would they have later if they get Giannis? What if Mitch gets injured again, which historically speaking, that's a pretty high likelihood of happening. So I think they wouldn't mind for the time being having a big surplus of bigs, especially because we also don't know what Messi is going to look like. Again, I feel pretty optimistic that there's a scenario where he can end up being he could surpass Mitchell Robinson in the rotation. That wouldn't surprise me, but maybe also he just kind of fighting minutes with Huck Porty. So I think you're going to need to see how things play out for the rest of the season, see how the offseason plays out. And then maybe next year, especially once you are starting to approach the end of Misi's contract. So he'll have finished, next year's his third year. After that, he can sign an extension. Then the Knicks will have plenty of data to make a decision. Maybe they'll have it. Misi will have shown enough that they could just trade Mitch next offseason and use his third. He's going to be a free agent, so they got to extend Mitch. That's the other thing. Very curious what Mitch's contract ends up falling to. I would suspect they're going to want to, if not extend him, at least re-sign him in the offseason. I think they're trying to really. I feel like they're going to play things out to the very end unless
as they should. I think that's exactly what they should do.
Same, I agree.
I think the comp right now is you look at what Steven Adams just got with the Rockets. He's a little older. He got 3 years, $36 million, so 13 a year. I would suspect with the cap going up and Mitch being younger, despite the similar injury proneness, he'd probably get a little more than that.
Yeah,
so I was
maybe
thinking
15.
maybe he gets. Yeah, I'm thinking something like even a little tiny bit more. I'm thinking like somewhere in the $4 to $75 million range.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So then I think the big thing would be, are the Knicks going to try to make it have some extra non-guarantees, maybe some injury protection just to protect themselves? Because the question isn't is Mitch worth the money? When he's on the court, he's doing his thing, he's absolutely worth the money. But what if something bad happens health-wise? Can the Knicks have an out on it? Usually these contracts, these players don't get waived that often, especially for a player of Mitch's caliber. But maybe the Knicks will want to add some kind of protection on the back end just in case. So if you can get Mitch on what the Knicks believe is a pretty good value contract, that could maybe increase his trade value later. So if it comes to that time to make a decision later and Eves or another center has developed well enough that you can do that, if you got him on a good contract that maybe has some non-guarantees, that should help.
Yeah, but, could I ask one thing too? The player you didn't name when you named these other guys, but we had heard rumors about in recent weeks is Najee Marshall. I don't know what you're hearing, and he's someone who would really intrigue me out of the names that I heard, because I think one thing the Knicks struggle with when Jalen's not on the floor is shot creation and a guy who can get his own. And I think Najee, who has good size, I think he's shown that. I know it's on Dallas and they've been a bad team most of the time. When he's shown that, it was last year when they had no one on the court, and this year when Kyrie's been out and all these things, but he's shown a propensity to get buckets, for lack of a better word. And he's got good size. He seems like a heady player. Like this is a type of guy that I think the Knicks, he could be the kind of a better version. I wouldn't say it like this, but like Jordan Clarkson hasn't really worked out as like a bucket getter off the bench. Like, can Najee do that for them and give them another wing, which they really need? Like, is that something you see as a possibility, or how do you feel about that?
I really like Najee Marshall. I think he's probably, out of all the players we mentioned, the best player the Knicks can bring in right now to really boost their title odds. If they can't, he could potentially close with them in some types of configurations. He's like a jack of all trades guy. He can do a little bit of everything really well. And I think he's a reason, like a very important reason, the Mavs have been like kind of good recently. So as soon as they trade him, that's going to drop off for sure. So they're reportedly, I've seen the reports, they're asking for a first round pick. I'm skeptical that's really on the table for them. If they get a first round pick, I would guess it's a pretty crappy, like end of the first round type one. I just don't see the appetite of teams willing to trade a first round pick for a player, like, granted, as good as he is, might not start on many contending teams, isn't guaranteed to close on them either. It's an interesting balance to see like what the value ends up being. So if the Mavs are comfortable getting 4 or 5 second round picks, absolutely, the Knicks can get him. And he makes like the highest amount of money that the Knicks could acquire right now without trading their top 6 guys. They can get there with Yabu, Daddier, and one of their minimum guys, so like Clarkson. And that works perfectly, and they could still fill up the end of the roster under their hard cap. So I would love it. I think the Knicks have been needing to get an extra wing since after last offseason when they traded DiVincenzo. Obviously, he's not replacing DiVincenzo, but I think they do need another wing, a guy with some pretty good physicality off the bench. Another guy, like, not as good, but maybe could they get Kelly Oubre? Similar price range. Probably wouldn't be as helpful. Might not, maybe in the playoff doesn't even play that much, but
he would
I
mix
do
it up
like
though. That I can tell you. He would mix it up if things go, if there's problems on the court, he'd mix it up. Go ahead.
But I do like the idea that if they can't get one of their other targets like Jose or Yves Misi, I do really like the idea of them getting a wing off the bench.
Let's go to the phones. Grabba on the Discord. Grabba, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yo, what's good? I'm in the spot.
You in the spot, man. How you doing, man?
I'm good. CP, Yossi, Justin, how y'all doing, man?
Good.
I'm doing well.
I ain't gonna lie, Justin. You took all my flow. You took my whole flow, man. I was gonna come in here and talk about Najee, man, because that's one of my big targets. Like I've been for like last like 2 seasons, maybe even 3 seasons. Like I just feel like we always need like a wing off the bench, like somebody that could really come in, provide size, and just add like a little toughness, grit factor. And I think I don't know what we did to Najee, but every time he plays our team, he comes and just fries us. Like, I don't know what we did to him. I don't know if he wants to be a Knick and he's like showcasing his talent, but he always just kills us every time. So yeah, my question is, if you don't see like Jose, cool, don't get me wrong, he's from the city and all that, but he's another guy that's like 6'1", 6'2", around that size. And I feel like with all the guards that we have, off the bench, like what is there anybody else out there do you think that could really provide like size that's the Knicks could get like for a reasonable price with their picks and everything they got?
Okay. Appreciate
he's
it,
Missy. One last thing.
Yeah.
He's Missy. I like him, but I don't know. I don't know if we got like what the Pelicans would want from him. He seems like a real good young talent. So hopefully, if they want to take 4 or 5, second round picks for him, I love it. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Hopefully, I got a good day, and I got all my stuff too at the supermarket, CP. So I'm good.
Let's go.
Last second, I got all my stuff, so I'm good. I'm gonna holler at y'all.
All right, man. Later, man. That's Grabba on the Discord. All right, Yossi. So basically, he's asking. He's looking for more size, more gettable size at the deadline. What do you think?
So I'm looking around the league as I gauge maybe the Bulls. They could be active. Are there guys within their price range? Maybe like Jalen Smith making $9 million, same amount as Najee Marshall. Not a big, but I just look at Ayo Dosunmu. If they do want another guard, I think he would be a fantastic addition.
I agree.
To the Knicks backcourt. I've seen Dean Wade's name in rumors recently, $6 million. And I don't know if the Cavs want to help the Knicks there, but also a guy in their price range. He can play. He could defend multiple positions. We don't know if the Nets are gonna want to help them, but there's a lot of guys I see there. Day'Ron Sharpe, Haywood Highsmith if he's healthy. Some of the expendable guys. There's the Knicks will have their options, and it's interesting though. We've seen some names come out so far. I would imagine some of these names I'm throwing out, they could be looked at. Basically, anyone making $9 million or less. $9 million is kind of like the cap before they got to start considering trading Mitchell Robinson or someone making more. So I don't know if the Warriors want to trade Al Horford. I don't know if the Knicks would even want him. Just another guy, Capella. I don't know if the Rockets want to trade him. Any other guys that you have in mind?
I mean, I was saying Batum from the Clippers, but I mean he hasn't really bounced back. He's looking pretty washed these days. But something along those lines. I'm just thinking for the Yabusele contract and what they can get without, as you said, having to attach picks and all of that, because you got to incentivize a team, you got to beg a team to take him off your books.
Yeah, I mean it's going to cost them picks no matter what. Even if the Knicks just wanted to get off Yabusele and not take anything back, that's going to cost them at least a pick, I'd imagine. Even if another team could make him fit in their system, the Knicks are the one still that has to give up a little something. I mean, Goga, I know he's been linked. I just doubt the Magic would want to trade him, even though they got Mo Wagner back, but that's just another player fits right in that price range.
How about Nick Richards? Anything on Nick Richards? He's been kind of collecting dust with the Suns, man. I don't think he's played.
I'm getting to my P's. I'm looking at Philly and then Phoenix. Nick Richards is interesting. Also another guy who's been linked. They reportedly declined Ochai Agbaji and the second round pick for him.
Right.
So I'm not sure what the Suns want exactly. Seems like they just want to keep everybody and keep the roster as deep as possible. So I don't know if they'd want to do a Yabusele swap, even if they're getting like 2 or 3 second round picks. Even though Nick Richards like is the third string big man, Drummond is interesting. Just because I could also see him being available post buyout. Like if he gets traded to a bad team, the Sixers salary dump him because they could be looking to duck the tax. He could become like maybe available just to sign. Like if the Nets trade for him, they're not going to keep Drummond. They'll just waive him after. So worth noting, he is a guy the Knicks can sign. Remember, as a first apron team, Knicks cannot sign players bought out who are making the mid-level or more. So like CJ McCollum, for example, if he were to get bought out, the Knicks cannot sign him. Drummond making $5 million, that works. So there could also be some options, not great options, but there could be some options at the deadline, at the buyout market.
What about anyone on Miami?
Miami, I looked at Fontecchio for a second, but I know they've been relying on him a lot more in their road trip with a lot of injuries. They're already kind of light at the front court. So I don't know if it doesn't seem like Miami would be interested in Yabusele, but that's just the one guys I look at. If there's something
I just know they're
to be
deep
done with the Knicks.
They're deep at a lot of those. You know, they have a lot of guys that are similar on that team. Like Ware isn't even playing right now. You know what I mean?
I think the issue is just Jovic has not been consistent.
Yeah.
He's the guy that if he was good right now, okay, I'm sure the Heat would probably be more open to trading Fontecchio. But Where I would guess the Heat are going to hold on to him to see if they can get in the Giannis mix. Because I feel like it's between the Knicks and the Heat most likely. Those seem like the two main Giannis preferences right now.
Two teams. All right. Well, today you did drop the Knicks trade deadline primer in today's Third Apron newsletter. Let the people know where else they can find you. What else you got cooking this week, man?
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about Giannis all weekend. I had on my podcast, Third Apron Podcast. You can subscribe wherever you get podcasts. I had Michael Scotto on. We discussed him and some of the other big trade candidates. And last night, yesterday, me and my co-host Sam, we just discussed the latest on Giannis, his comments after the Thunder game, him ruling himself out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Like feels like it's very possible he suited up for them for the last time. And then today on my Substack, also called Third Apron, I made like the primer of how the Knicks could get Giannis, because when the Giannis stuff first started back in May, when Shams first reported he might be open to a trade, and then in October he reported that they did talk to the Knicks. It just seemed like kind of impossible, because that Giannis wants to go to a team like the Knicks that doesn't have anything much to trade. Draft picks wise, it's gonna make hard to make a deal. They have all this money committed to these guys. It just seemed like kind of far-fetched. But as time goes on, we get closer and closer to trade deadline. And then next offseason, that's going to be a critical moment for the Bucks and Giannis, because if he doesn't take the extension, they're going to have to, that's it. That's him effectively asking for a trade. They're going to have to make some type of action. And I think the longer it takes, the more it bodes well for the Knicks to plan something, figure out how to make an offer while also budgeting a roster that works under whatever restrictions they might have. So I got really deep into that on my Substack. You can subscribe there, read that. Discussed a lot of that here, but it got a little more in-depth in the numbers, how that might work. And just follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky. I will have instant salary cap analysis whenever transactions happen. Now is one of the best times of the year to follow me and even have me on notifications, so you can get some instant feedback. I think the Knicks will do something.
Yeah,
they're gonna, at the very least, they'll do one of those, like get one of the targets or a player making similar salary as one of the targets that they got. They have got the second round picks to do it. They'll do something with that Yabu Pacome salary slot, and I'll be ready to break that down as soon as it happens.
There we go, man. We'll be sure to bring you back. Great work as usual. Salute to you, Yossi, man, and thanks again, man. We'll chat soon, bro.
Sounds good. Yeah, hopefully the Knicks do something soon. I could be back on in the next week or so.
Let's go. Hey, you never know. It might be tomorrow, man. So hang tight.
Could be now by the time you get
as
off.
soon as
Could
I
be
log
later.
off.
Could be later. So stand by your phone. But appreciate it. All right, man. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. Another edition of Knicks Weekly. CP the franchise in the building. Hope everybody is doing well. And shout out to one of our sponsors of today's show, man, and that is at Fabletics. Hey, for you gym people out there and you want to look good while you're working out, I always go by the adage, you look good, you feel good, and everything flows from there, man. So Fabletics is no different, especially for you guys that are hitting to the gym. And for you guys at home, check out their VIP program because I just got 80% off of everything by signing up. I thought it was too good to be true, but it's really not. The quality, surprising, premium fit, durable, comfortable. Make sure you check out the Training Day long sleeve shirt. That's a good one because it's freezing outside. And their hoodies, man. Their go-to hoodie is a go-to for me, especially when you get into the gym, you want to layer up. And then when you de-layer, you get your Fabletics on. It's like I said, premium fit, durable, and comfortable as well. So make sure you go to fabletics.com/KFTV and take their quiz. Once you take their quiz, you let them know that KnicksFanTV sent you when prompted, and you get 80% off everything when you sign up as a VIP. So once again, shout out to Fabletics for sponsoring today's show. Okay. Let me get to it here. Back on it. CP the franchise. We got Justin Morelli in here. Let's get to it. Knicks Weekly. We back, and we back, man. 2-1. You missed the MLK embarrassing game. I called you.
I needed a break.
I was so embarrassed. Yeah, I called you because I needed a break. All right, I called you at halftime. Like, bro, this is. Be glad that you're missing it, but they bounced back. Did you go to the Nets game? They bounced back against the Nets, historic win, and then bounced back against Philly, man.
I didn't. After the Mavs game, I said, you know what? I'm taking the week. Okay, I need a sabbatical. Yeah. I'm taking the week. Let them get right without me against the Nets, and then I'll come back. I think, what are they playing? Tuesday, right? So I'll be back at the Garden on Tuesday. I thought the Sixer game was the best win of the season because of the circumstances. Because, Philly, we can obviously talk about the Nets, but we all know the Nets are not a real team. Mm-hmm. They did what they had to do. I thought that was important to win that game by 50, to be honest, to show that they care. Show they're going to fight. They're not giving up. They're not laying down. They're not quitting. We're going to go out and we're going to take care of business. And they won by 50, and that's what they needed to do. Then they needed to back that up against Philly and show, okay, now we're going to play against a real team, and we're going to play the way we played against the Nets. And that wasn't just because it was the Nets. And I think you and I probably feel the same about this because I think we've talked about this in the past. Philly, when they're fully healthy, is as dangerous as any team in the East, in my opinion, especially now with the emergence of Edgecombe this year. You're talking about Maxey, one of the best guards in the league at this point. Joel, when healthy, is still a handful. Paul George is like the third or fourth option now. And with Edgecombe, that's a dangerous team. That is a very explosive, talented team. You're going on the road. They had already lost to them recently, and they got embarrassed at home, right? So to go into that arena, and I thought, the end of the game notwithstanding, those last 4 minutes, which was a little, like you said, wasn't pretty, wasn't gritty. It was really those last 4 minutes. I thought they showed a lot, especially in that third quarter, in the first half, the fourth quarter, where that's the way the Knicks need to play, on both ends of the floor. The effort was there. The intensity was there. The urgency was there. And they were playing with each other. I thought the ball movement was the best it's been in probably 2 or 3 weeks. And, look, that Sixer game showed me, okay, they're ready to get back on track. Now you have, 10 days before the deadline? This next few games is going to be very telling to see, okay, what do they really need at the deadline, and what could they keep?
Yeah, and they started the week, the way they started the week and the way they ended the week, it was two different teams. It was so polarizing, but as you said, you had to be encouraged with the way that they played and won against Philadelphia because they had to up their compete level. This was you almost felt like a playoff type game. The way Philly came out the gates has been consistent with the way that they've attacked the Knicks in the 3 games so far. They've pressured defense. They rely on their athleticism. They tried to exploit the Knicks in their 2-man game with Embiid and Maxey, at least over the course of the last 2 games. I thought the Knicks were kind of fortunate that Edgecombe was relatively quiet in this one. Yeah. Normally the first 2 games he's had his way, especially when they've had Brunson on him. And he's really exploited the Knicks with his athleticism. So I don't know if Sunday was a case of just one of them nights, rookie wall. He hasn't been trending so hot, but I thought the Knicks were fortunate for that because the first 2 games he really had their way. But especially the way that they closed in that fourth quarter. Yes, they had a 17-point lead. It got dicey, but you needed gritty plays, right? You had the gritty play from OG Anunoby, from the offense attacking the basket, 7-8 dunks to guarding Joel Embiid in that crunch time. Deuce McBride getting crunch time minutes. Landry Shamet, the 12 points, the 2 big threes, the off-ball movement. You have to find those holes in the defense. Mitchell Robinson being absolutely phenomenal, especially in that second half. Drew Hanlon, it was so funny. Me and Drew Hanlon had a little back and forth, and there was a meme out there during the game or before the game that was like, it was from a Knicks account, and it was like, Joel Embiid, he doesn't want to see it with Mitch. And so I guess when Embiid had 28 points in the first half, Drew Hanlon retweeted that like update, the little clapback update type of thing. So then I clap back now at the end of the game with the box score, with our KFTV branded box score, with Mitchell Robinson when he took off on I don't know if it was Boner or whoever, when he took off at that high post, and Drew Hanlon was like, well, I'm talking about specifically Joel. He had 38 points, blah, blah, blah. And my whole thing was like, yeah, that's true, and he's been doing well. But you ain't talking about the 10 points that he had in the second half when Mitch and OG shut that shit down. Like, they got shut down. So 2 things can be true. They finished the week great.
And I think we've seen the past. Mitch matches up pretty well against Joel because Mitch struggles with quick guys on the perimeter, quick big men on the perimeter that could take him off the bounce. Joel, at this point, especially with the knee issues, that's not really his game anymore. He's a guy who's, even if he's shooting threes, he takes a while to do that. Sometimes I sit back, I do my taxes, and then he still hasn't taken the shot yet. So it's like He does that little jab. I think Mitch can handle him. He can handle him in the post. He makes him take tough shots. And on the perimeter, with his size, he's not really fearful of Joel taking him off the bounce. So I think Mitch has historically done pretty well against him, especially in recent years. So I agree with you. And I think a lot of that in the first half, some of it was on Cat with the foul trouble. And yes. Joel had Cat at his mercy in the first half with some of those fouls. And I do think the Knicks got a rough whistle in that game too. I never like to complain about the refs because I think it's like one of those things that fans like to complain about, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter and nobody cares. The point is to win the game. But I do think they got a rough whistle. And I think I texted you this, which is a hot take I'm going to make. Mm-hmm. I think they need to put Shamet in the starting lineup. And I think and one of my favorite parts of the game is when he hit that 3 and you saw the replay and he said, I'm effing back. Yeah. When it's like Landry Shamet yelling at the back. Like he has that dog. Like he's a tough, because he's always had to fight for his minutes. Mm-hmm. He's always had to fight for everything he has. He plays good. He plays well on both ends of the floor. And I call him Dante Light, because I think he provides some of the stuff that Dante provided that we lost, which is off the ball movement in the half court, I think you heard Mike Brown say. He provides that type of from point A to point B. He gets there quicker than anyone else on the court or off the ball, and he causes chaos for the defense, which then opens up Jalen, which then opens up Josh on a drive, right? So like different things like that. I think he is very key to the lineup. And I think I told you before the season I would start Deuce because I wanted the shooting. Mm-hmm. I think Landry actually provides more of what they need. And if I was the team, and I know this is very difficult to do, and it's not because of Mikal or the way he's playing. I think Mikal's a good player. I just think if you look at the 3 guys you would have to take out of the lineup, you can only take one of them out. Mm-hmm. OG you can't for obvious reasons. Josh, I think, provides a pace and an energy that they need in that lineup. Mm-hmm. And Mikal is kind of the guy. Maybe he would even be better suited off the bench with that second unit where he can kind of lead that second unit and be a focal point of the offense a little more. And I think Landry just complements that lineup better, both offensively and defensively, because he provides a different type of defense than even Mikal does. So I don't know if you feel that same way, because I know you were busy at the time. I didn't get a great response on that. So I'm gonna ask you on the chat, like, do you agree with that? How do you feel about that overall? Yeah.
I think I'd be concerned with losing Bridges altogether.
Okay,
I'd be concerned with losing. See, Shamet's a guy, he's used to coming off the bench.
You mean mentally?
Mentally. Shamet's a guy that can come off the bench. He can start. Deuce is a guy, he can come off the bench. He can start. Hart, same way. Certain guys are built for and ready for whatever, and they'll try to be a star in their role every night because they're going to lead with effort. With Bridges, I'm not so sure. You might lose him altogether. You know what I mean? He came out the gates hot. He started off the year very well, very efficient shooting, and was a lot more aggressive. He's in a rut right now, but give credit to Mike Brown for not leaning on reputation and who he is and contract and all that. He said, nah, I need to go with the dogs that's going to help me win this game. He closed with Deuce and Shamet. We saw it in the NBA Cup. He had Clarkson, he had Kolick, he had Deuce out there like playing meaningful minutes. And so I like that with Brown. He see it. Tibbs saw it last year. Like if McCall ain't with it, if he's not here coming along, then you got to sit down and I got to go with the guys that can take us home. But yeah, like you said, Shamet having a great bounce back, coming back from the shoulder injury, and I was amazed at how he was fighting through screens, like literally through the defender with a bad shoulder and all. I said, wow, okay, he's fearless right now.
He's with it. And I think one thing about McHale, I don't want to make this a negative McHale thing, because like I think he's a good player. I think it's more about the fit with the lineup. Remember at the beginning of the year when he started hot, Josh was coming off the bench for a lot of that, right? So it was a different thing at the time. Like these three guys together, I felt since last year when they were obviously not a great lineup, it was one of the worst starting lineups in the league. Yeah, they've been better this year until they went into that rut. But I just think with those three guys, it's a lot of similar movement on offense. They're similar in terms of obviously one's none of them are great shooters. You know, the OG is the best, probably, then McHale, then Josh, but they're all, none of them are elite. And they also like, there's just a lot of redundancy there for me. And I think that kind of confines McHale a little bit. And from what this is just the eye test. I'm not going off anything. And like, I think he's affected most by that because OG, he's had this role now since he's been, and really on Toronto too, similar role. You know what I mean? Like when he needs to expand, he's done that in spurts. Josh is a guy who's like, he's going to get it when he needs to, but he's a pace guy. He can drive and kick. He do those types of things. McHale kind of is this guy who's like, you paid a lot for him. You want him to be an all-star. He hasn't really he hasn't been that, but has he had a chance to do that? Like in the role he's been, I thought Mike Brown would give him a chance to flourish. We saw that at the beginning of the year with the ball movement, but then the last 3 weeks, that's why I thought the team quit on Brown originally, because they were not moving the ball at all. No. It's like they stopped playing the offense they were playing when things were going well. So I was like, all of a sudden, more so than they went from being really good to sucking in like the snap of a finger, which doesn't happen. That was more glaring. Forget the defense, which has been up and down for 2 years. The offense, when Mike Brown hit the ground running with that, whether Cat maybe had a problem, but everyone else was kind of locked in with this ball movement, pace and space, sprays as he likes to call them, right? Drop, like that type of stuff. And the offense was clicking. They were scoring at, they were the number 2 offense in the NBA, I think, up until those 2 weeks. So that was more glaring to me, was the lack of ball movement. I think you saw more of it against Philly, but does that concern you from a standpoint of a Mike Brown standpoint? Are you over that now? Do you think now they're going to get back with it? And with McHale, just with that lineup specifically? No, because I think they're a team that hot dogs it through the regular season. And I think they'll get back to that in the postseason. Now, I think structurally they are deficient overall in ball handling, period. Meaning you come up against a defense that is much better at pressuring the ball and much more athletic, that can move laterally, where it's not easy to get around them, get past them. They're going to come into trouble no matter who they have out there. But I also think, even in a McHale situation, he just seems like a guy who paces himself through the regular season. And for Knicks fans, they're not going to like that, because you have to go pedal to the metal. And people do look at the fact that, okay, is it the streak that he's trying to protect while he's not attacking the basket and he's shying away from contact? It's certainly not a good look when you're donning the Knicks jersey. But maybe for a player like that, as we've seen, has turned it up a notch when it matters, when it counts. I think he's a guy like that. But like I said, you still have Deuce, you have Shamet. To a certain extent, you might even have to lean on Cardiac Clarkson if he's back firing. Right now he's cold, but so I think they have options behind McHale where it shouldn't be that detrimental if he's, replaced or, substituted. Yeah, and like you said too, Mike Brown has showed the ability and the willingness to play different lines. Like we would have never seen OG at the 5 last year. for instance, closing on Joel on Sunday.
But we saw it though. I told them, we and you saw it. We were watching. We were front row in Philly.
Yeah,
when Tibbs went to that adjustment.
Oh yeah, right. That he did that for that brief moment. That was 2 years ago. That's
remember
right.
that?
Right.
So,
That's right.
And I was telling Alex this. I was like, I'm watching this game, and I'm like, I wonder if Mike Brown is going to go to that at some point. You know, Tibbs went to that in that game 4, pivotal game. Brunson drops 47. He goes to
Great
Precious, and he goes to OG to guard Embiid. Right? We had nobody at that point. Mitch was already gone.
Bogdanovich got hurt.
Bogdanovich got hurt. Ihart was getting cooked. So he went to the dog to close the show. And I just like that. I like the fact that we have that option to even go to OG at the 5 to get a little bit more nimble, a bit more agile out there defensively. So, you know, it's very interesting. But one guy I like OG out there with has been voted on by our fans this week, Justin, as the player of the week. No, not Jalen Brunson, but Big Country Mitchell Robinson. 3 games this week, 8.3 points per game, 10.3 rebounds, 5.7 on the offensive side, 20 minutes, 2 blocks, and a steal, a plus 23 on the week, man. Talk about Mitchell Robinson and the week that he's had, bro.
Well, first off, the question is trivia kind of. Do you remember the first Big Country? Right?
Yeah,
of the original
Brian Reeves,
Big Country.
absolutely.
Yeah, Brian Reeves. Okay.
Funnily enough, somebody tried to check me the other day. They're like, we can't call Mitch Big Country. It's already taken. I was like,
No, you can't. Brian Reeves is not taken.
Come on,
okay,
man.
like, come on. Yeah, let's be honest. This isn't
you
the
can't
answer.
have that.
You know what I'm saying?
You can't have that. You can't
get Brian Reeves doesn't get full lifetime
You don't
authority.
get naming rights to Big Country, man.
He does not get named. So I think you're totally fine with that.
Yeah, 100%.
That's out.
100%.
But this is not Vinsanity here we're talking about, right? I would say when Mitch is playing like that, and we've seen it in a bunch of games this year, and the Knicks usually win those games, right? We saw it in the Cup against San Antonio when he finished that game, and that he was the best player in the game that game, him and Tyler.
Yep.
He is so key for them when he's playing that way. And I don't know if it's matchup based more so that he gets more involved in those ways, or it's just maybe how he feels that night. You know, we don't really, I'm not in that locker room and I'm not the training staff. I don't know how, maybe there's some games he doesn't feel as, you know, kind of under himself to be able to put that type of pressure on the defense. But when he's playing like that, like he did against Philly, that's just a huge bonus for us. Because I think, you know, I'm of the belief, you know, some fans are calling for Mitch to start over Cat for the same reason you said about McHale. They can't do that because they'll lose Cat. They can't do that. And I think the Knicks really need Cat. If this is their roster, they need Cat to win a championship because they need that second scorer. Because there are games when Cat's going to have to be Cat. And then there are games when Mitch is going to have to close out against certain teams. And I think that's a good luxury to have.
Yes.
The Philly game, that's made to order for Mitch, right? Like he needs to close that game out.
Yeah.
There's going to be games when Cat needs to be on the floor for other reasons, right? So I think for us, it's good to see Mitch back in that flow state where he's playing like that. And we talked about it with Yossi, but he's the most fascinating free agent contract I think you could have. Because as much as you love him, the injuries have to be a factor, whether you re-sign him to a big deal, especially where the Knicks are at with their cap situation and moves they want to make. Yep. Like, that's the most fascinating thing to me is like what they're going to offer him, what he's going to get on the market. Is he going to get a deal back? Like, I think, like you said, I'd go right until the end of the year to see how he finishes off. What's his health like for this year? Did they find something with this play 20-minute spurts to keep him healthy? So far, it's been pretty good. You know what I mean? So do you think that's the answer for him is these 20-minute, 25-minute spurts where he plays like this, he impacts the game, sometimes he closes, and that's how you keep him healthy?
Yes. And James Edwards and Katz, they put out a good article on Mitch in The Athletic this week, just today, matter of fact. And he's an interesting case. I don't think we've seen a similar case like this in the NBA where, remember, he didn't even start the season playing. Yeah. He played in the preseason. He didn't start the season. And the intel we had put out there was in regards to the left ankle and the load management, whichever ankle it was, is that when he played, number one, he's not going to play on back-to-backs. That's the protocol that they have him on. And number two, if he's not feeling good, like let's say, for example, if coming off that Philly game, if he's not feeling right, if he's sore going into the Sacramento game, they play Sacramento, they play Toronto back-to-back. So one of those games he's not going to play. But even if he's feeling sore, they're going to keep him out. He goes through a full battery of tests, full evaluation, and they wait. They do treatment until they get that swelling down. So Casey Smith, those guys, they are going with their program to get him to the postseason. And when we look at the game against Philadelphia, you see how he's irreplaceable for them.
He is. He's in those games, especially when he's got that type. And the cup game, I think, is a great example too, right? Like that game, he changed the whole game in that game. I think he had he might have had more than 10 offensive rebounds, I think, in the second half. It was something crazy like that. But yeah, he's a difference for them, especially defensively. When they want to go with a defensive lineup, he's the answer for them there, right? Because I think they don't really have enough, unless it's like we said with OG at the 5, but I don't think they could do that against every team.
Can't wear him down like that.
Yeah, it's going to wear him down. So Mitch is so key for them in those situations. And maybe, like we talked about before, maybe that's why they're looking at Misi to have a little, kind of insurance in case of injury, or in these back-to-backs when they could play, then Misi in those games. So, yeah, I mean, look, he's someone I've kind of gone back and forth with in my Knicks fandom since he's been here, is because he's so polarizing because of the injuries. I don't like guys who aren't available. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's so tough to project year to year what you can do if you don't even know if you can rely on this guy to be there for you. But at the end of the day, he's so impactful.
It's a different case.
When he's on the floor, it's like, I just don't even know what's like. If you told me today I have a great trade for Mitch, I'm going to listen to it because of the injuries. But then I'm going to have to really look at it and be like, I'm going to get back to you. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to look at the highlights. I'm going to see the clips, and the block next monster is going to be all over the glass, doing his thing, offensive glass, defensive glass, doing his thing. And then I'm going to be like, he might be the reason they get to the finals. Right? So it's like, I'm so torn with him. So I just lean on you for the block nest monster expert analysis. I lean on you for that.
It's just necessary for me for this team. It's a cost of doing business. We will wait until he's ready to come back, because he just is too much from the second chance opportunities that he gives his team. He gives them another opportunity to knock down a 3. Right, that's the best. One of your best chances of getting an open 3 is off.
And one thing I would say to that, to what you said, he's great. A lot of big men are not good at this, and this is a huge thing. And I bet big men watching this, if you're watching this chat, this is so important for big men. I played point guard, throughout high school until I was too small to get further than that. But that's besides the point. Big men who offensive rebound and immediately kick out are so big, because those usually the most open 3s you're going to get in a possession.
That's it.
And big men usually are not, especially Mitch, he's not the best finisher around the rim. So a lot of these big men who are not great finishers, they're almost wasting an offensive rebound when they're trying to go up in traffic, finishing at the rim. And then it's like, well, you almost didn't even get the offensive rebound. It was a waste of time. Mitch has done a great job, especially these last 2 years, of getting the offensive rebound and immediately finding his shooters. That's a very underrated skill that he has.
Yeah. And as he said, he was quoted this week. He said, I told my guys when watching film, I'm open, feed me. And we saw Cap throw him a couple, Jalen Brunson throw him a couple Gotham lobs this week. We saw in the Philly game, McHale throw him a Gotham lob. You got to, if you give him touches, you let him cook on the offensive side, he's going to go crazy defensively, man. And it's just the nature of the beast.
You want to see him do more of that, I'm sure. I think Jalen has not been great at that. That's not his best skill, is throwing lobs to big man. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what he does best. He doesn't really look for that play a lot. But I think if they can get more of those, just get him a couple a game. Big men are very simple.
It'll improve your defense.
Right. If you give them, if you reward them for what they do in the dirty work area, because no one wants to do let's be real. It's the same thing. OG, I think, feels the same way.
Yeah, he absolutely feels the same way.
When you got to play that type of defense against the best defender all game, you're wearing yourself down. You don't get the recognition. You don't get the shine that from the media and from the casual fan. You want to get rewarded from those easy baskets. Give me a couple shots here. Give me a dump off here. Give me a lob there. I think they need to do more of that. And I think, to be honest, I love Captain Clutch. That's on him. That's on him to step up and say. And same thing with Towns. It's on him to get Towns in the areas that he needs to get to get more comfortable. He's the point guard. He's the captain. You got to take, those are your big men. You got to make them happy. You got to figure, as much as it's on the coach, I think it's on Captain Clutch too.
For sure. And in terms of talking about Mike Brown and the willingness to close with different lineups, we talked about it with Shamet and the guards, but with the Cat situation, the double bigs, it's been a mixed bag in terms of how impactful they've been. More bad, because I think the counter that a lot of these quicker, speedier teams do. They outrun. They just run.
Yep.
And you catch Mitch laboring, you catch Towns laboring, and I think their transition defense takes a hit because of it. But you do have the option to go to Mitch, block it down defensively with OG out there, and still have enough offense to spread the ball around. You have 3-point shooters out there, and that's something where, hey, if we have to sacrifice until he gets back to normal or close to it, if you got to sacrifice some closing Towns minutes for the sake of improving your defense and closing with Mitch, by all means, go to it. Got to do it, man.
I agree.
They did it against Portland in the game against the Blazers in Portland. You got to do it, man. It's necessary for winning.
You got to do it. Like you said, Shamet, Mitch, Deuce, all those guys are capable of closing. And if there's a night they're on or you feel like that matchup calls for it, you got to do it. Like we're not playing for feelings at this point. This is a year that I told you this, the most important trade deadline the front office has ever had. It's the most important year the Knicks have had in over 25 years.
Yeah.
They need to take advantage of what's in front of them. And they need to, especially with Tatum potentially lurking coming back. You need to take all the kind of things that you need to do to win these games and get the highest seed you can, get in the best position, have home court in those series to be set up for the finals run. And if that means closing Mitch some games, closing Shamet, Deuce, whatever it is, I think you got to do. And I have one question for you because I'm just confounded by this Cat situation. I know, Mike Brown has had some issues with Sabonis in a similar role with Sacramento. And I think they butted heads, especially towards the end. But why is Cat? Because we heard this in the preseason in training camp, right? And everyone was like, when he said, "I don't know what my role is," and everyone's like, "Whoa, we just started. What do you mean you don't know what your role is? Like, well, you're going to figure it out." That still hasn't been cleared up. In your opinion, is that solvable? Is that just because I feel like Mike Brown's trying to make some concessions to get him in more touches in certain spots because they need to get him right. Right, I think more so than anything on this team, if he's shooting 35% from three, that's not going to get it done for what his profile is.
Yeah,
you need him to be an elite offensive player and a great shooting big man, even to space for everyone else. Is that a solve? What is your read on why this hasn't been figured out yet?
I think it is solvable. They got to come to the middle. A good coach can find and fine-tune his system to get the best out of his players. And so I think it's a good point in time with a brand new system. If it's not working for Cat, you got to figure out how to dial it down and make it work for him.
Agreed.
But from what I saw, especially after they had the whether you call it the players only or the janitor was there, I don't care what type of, they had a meeting on Monday night after the embarrassing loss. But from the Net game to the Philly game, I thought there was a more concerted effort to run the offense through him, put the ball in his hands, have him making plays, passing to the open cutters, capitalizing on his ability, his gravity as a floor spacing big. And I think, maybe that's part of it because in this system, he's got to move around a lot. There's a lot for him to process. And I think on top of the fact that he's not hitting the shots, probably doesn't feel like he's getting the ball enough. It's impacting his defense. He's all over the place right now. But again, it's on Brown. Brown can fine-tune it to make sure, hey, I got to make sure I'm getting my big man involved. I'm getting him the touches in his spots, in rhythm. None of this taking the ball off the floor. The hooks, there should never be another move like that from here on out.
Bro, we've seen this for his whole career, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the thing about him is it's so frustrating is doesn't learn from his mistakes. Forget the other stuff. It's have an awareness. There's no way coaches throughout his career haven't told him this. You know what I mean? We know he sees it. And the reason he doesn't get some of these calls, in my opinion, and he does get fouled sometimes, he doesn't get the call, is because he flails so much and he just barrels through the lane and goes in a wild fashion. The refs aren't going to give you those calls when you're kind of being all right, no matter what happens, I'm going here. And if I get contact or I initiate the contact, I'm going. And I'm going to throw myself at the defender. They don't want to give him those calls. So if he just, like you said, stop with the little hooks, stop with the little offensive fouls that are unnecessary, and even the reaching on defense and stuff like that. If he just played more of all right, let me not do those things, he would immediately go from here to here as a player.
Yeah.
That's how much that impacts him on the floor, in my opinion. And you said, it's But I just don't. Is he going to learn from that in his 10th season? Like that's a him problem at this point. That's where he's got to take the onus and say, okay, I'm gonna just learn from mine, because that's all you just trying. That's an effort thing to me. Like that's not even being an IQ. Like these things are happening. So when you're seeing them on the floor, okay, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna steer clear of doing this, and I'm gonna keep myself on the floor, because this Philly game, he just took himself out of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality.
You know, it's so funny though, because I think you still needed all 6 of those fouls to make Mitch great. I thought.
No, that's true. I
thought you needed that.
It was kind of it was kind of like a worked by kind of default.
It did, because I think you start that game with Mitch. Mitch is probably the one fouling out. If Joel is going like that with 28 points, there's a good chance Mitchell Robinson is picking up 3 fouls in that first half, because you can't go to Huck for too long of a time. And then you put Huck in, and he's seeing, Embiid seeing blood. I think Cap being out there, I say they should be thankful for that, because he did allow Mitch to close the game, in my opinion. But, we got to give Cat some time. I actually said I hope he doesn't make the All-Star team, so he can just reset, recover, and focus on what's important, and that's getting this team to the championship. So, we'll see what happens there. Let's salute to everybody in the chat once again, man. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. CP the Franchise here. Justin Morelli in the building. Knicks Fan TV's Knicks Weekly, episode 144. Salute to my franchise channel members in the chat, and salute to the 100,000 subscribers, man. That's right, man. We got the plaque. We got the plaque up in here, man. If you guys are one of 100K, go ahead and throw 100 in the chat. We'll get this up eventually, but I kind of just like holding it when I do my resets. So I just hold it up, and just this is a team victory, man. It's for the whole squad, for all the fans around the world. Salute. I'm
chasing that myself. I gotta get there. But that's salute to you. That's awesome.
Appreciate you, man. All right, so let's take a look at the week ahead, because the Knicks have some teams coming back into town. You got the Mike Brown Kings reunion part 2. They'll be coming into town on Tuesday. Then the Knicks will be taking on the Raptors, second night of a back-to-back. They have to head to T-Dot for another game, and Knicks and the Raptors neck and neck in the standings right now, so that's a pretty important game. Then they will have the Portland Trailblazers on Friday coming into the Garden, and then Sunday, and it always happens around this time, around Super Bowl time, this Sunday, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Los Angeles Lakers. Big time matchup on Sunday. I'll be there, man. What do you think? What are your predictions for this week?
Well, first off, I have one thing also for you. That year when I was just thinking about this, remember when Tibbs was almost fired? Yeah, the Knicks had like a terrible stretch, and I think it was against Dallas with Luka there. That was like their worst game. It was a home game, and then they completely turned it around. He was not fired, and I think that was first year of Jalen Brunson, I believe. This could be a similar thing going forward. I think that's what I'm kind of mentally. They got themselves together. They said, okay, we're going to go, and then they went on a run from there. Yeah. So I think this week provides them those games, especially Sacramento. That's a get-back game for them. Yeah. I think they got to come out and they got to dominate against Sacramento. Like that, there's no excuses for that.
You can't have Precious coming home and trying to put on an encore performance. They got to shut that down for out the gate.
Bro, I know Precious personally. He's a great dude. I like him a lot. Like he looked like Kobe. All right, like he was putting on a show. And you could see he was relishing in the whole thing. Right, like
crazy, bro.
You gotta take that personally, right? As MJ said, you gotta take that personally. And in this game on Tuesday, you gotta be like, this is a game where we just gotta dominate these guys. Like, we can't let them in the game. Don't let Precious feel like, oh, I'm back in the Garden now. I'm gonna do it here. I did it at home. No. So I think that's number one. Number two, I'm sure you've noticed this. Toronto's playing a lot better lately, right? Like they went on that. They were hot to start the season. Then they cooled off, and now they're playing a lot better. They're playing a lot better, recently. And this is on the second night of a back-to-back for the Knicks. I think did they beat Boston, if I'm not mistaken, the Clippers?
Which one, Raptors?
Yeah, the Raptors. I think the last 3 games.
Well, they're on a 4-game winning streak. All out west on the West Coast.
But I think, didn't they beat Boston their last game?
They lost to the Celtics the last game, but on their last 4, they beat OKC last night. by
right.
2.
OKC, right. They beat OKC. That's right.
They beat Portland. They beat Sacramento. They beat Golden State. So the Raptors on a 4-game winning streak, winning all of their games out west. Quickly with the 40-point game against the Dubs. Quickly with 23 against OKC. They did beat Philly a couple weeks ago. So they're cooking, man. They're
cooking.
They swept Golden State. They beat Orlando. They haven't beaten Boston yet, but they have. I'm just looking at this real quick. Hang on. So they're going to end up playing the Knicks 5 times this year.
That's crazy.
They lost already twice. The November 30th game in Toronto.
And then the one in the Garden.
Quarterfinals, right? They won that quarterfinal. No RJ in that game. And then now they're going to play them 3 more times. They're going to play them Wednesday. You're going to play them March 3rd at the Garden. Wednesday's going to be at the Garden as well. March 3rd. Wait, hang on. Yeah. Wednesday the 28th is going to be at the Garden. March 3rd is going to be at the Garden. And then April 10th.
April 10th.
Sorry, let me correct that again because I'm looking at the Raptors schedule right now. The next 2 are going to be in Toronto. The April 10th one is going to be at the Garden.
Okay, so this is crazy how much they're playing.
5 times. 5 times.
And I think the last couple games, at least from what I've seen, our old friend has been on a heater. The last couple games, Mr. Quickly, right? So he's going to be you know he loves playing at the Mecca.
Yeah.
So he's going to be looking to come in Wednesday against some dead leg Knicks, right? Like on that back-to-back and looking to do the same thing he did when he tried to bring them back from the dead in that third quarter at the Garden. So I think that's going to be a big game. I would probably – are they all healthy right now? Is RJ playing for them? Yeah.
I believe RJ is back. Hang on. Let me just take a look.
I thought so too, but I wasn't 100%.
I believe RJ is back. He did come back again. Yeah, RJ is back. And let's see who played last night for them. Yeah. All 5 starters in double figures.
Right, so that's going to be a good test for them. Yeah. That's going to be a good test.
Good test.
Because remember, they didn't have RJ, I think. They didn't have another key player. Was it Ingram or Barnes? One of those guys I feel like they didn't have. But regardless, they're healthy now. And this is going to be a good test for them on the second night of a back-to-back. And then they have the Lakers that Saturday, you said, or Sunday?
Laker game is Sunday.
Yeah, Laker game is Sunday. I know I'll be there. I'll be there for that. And I think that's an ABC game, I believe.
7 o'clock. Yeah, you know it's LeBron. So they are half game back of the Raptors right now for third place. You got 3 more games left. Chance to win the season series on Wednesday.
Yep.
I think that one be tough. I'll go 3-1 on the week. I think they cook Sacramento. I think they will get the Portland game. Raptors one when you got to travel to T-Dot, they'll get in late.
Yeah. That's a tough one. I think that's the one. But you know what the other thing is too? Mm-hmm. The last couple of years, they haven't played well against the Lakers.
Yeah, they haven't.
Especially at home.
They got washed last year. Remember that game? They got embarrassed last year.
They got embarrassed at the Garden. That was the night that Luka was traded, actually.
Yeah,
you remember he was traded right after the game.
Yeah. LeBron ate him up. They got killed. I think that could be the same thing.
And I think the year before, too, they lost. Even when the Lakers were struggling in the first half of the year, we played them, and we lost that game, too. They need to – that's a game that's always been tough for them. I think it's like with the Lakers coming in, there's a lot of Laker fans. There's a lot of hype, especially when LeBron's on the court. Now it's going to be even more with Luka there. So I think that's always been like a distraction for them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's always on that big night, ABC, something going on. So that's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to go 3-1 also.
Okay.
I think they lose either the Lakers or the Toronto game. I'm going to go one of the two.
Yeah, that's where I'm going, man.
Yeah, right. I'm going to go one of the two. I do have one nugget to drop.
Yeah, good.
A source of mine who told me when I'm not allowed to kind of expand on this, but remember when Josh said they had no players only meeting? And where did that come from?
Yeah.
So what I was told from someone close to the team was after the Nets game, they had a little get-together. I think it was at McHale's crib. And they had, like, the players there was, like, kind of a little, celebrate kind of thing. And then at the end of the night, they kind of kicked the ancillary pieces out. And they had kind of like a get-right meeting with all the guys. Mm-hmm, and they kind of looked at each other and said, okay, we got to get this right. What are we going to do? So now I don't know if that carries over. We saw, a team that was very well connected in Toronto. But that's kind of what I heard was that night specifically. Yeah. They kind of had like a little powwow and kind of tried to get on the same page. Yeah. So we'll see.
You can see it. You can see it. But like I said, I like this type of adversity, man. I'm not really not really
It's better to have it now, right? Than the end of the season.
Yeah.
And I think, didn't we hear last season, there were some reports that the locker room was a little bit uneasy, and then it got swept under the rug because they went to the conference finals, and no one really talked about it. But I remember towards the end of the year, people were talking about, the Knicks team's not as close as they were the year before. So sometimes you need the whole thing to blow up, right? You kind of need the whole thing to blow up in your face so you guys could have some difficult conversations and say, okay, we're trying to win.
Yeah.
Who cares if we like each other? We want to go get coffee. We want to go to the club. Don't matter. We want to win a championship. So now when things go terribly, we got to get on the same page because there's no other way. And I agree with you. I think sometimes that adversity makes you stronger and builds a champion at the end. So I'm hoping this whole thing came at the right time, also gave the front office a chance to kind of do what they need to do at the deadline by looking at the team and set them up for the end of the year where they already went through this.
There you go, man. Well, great show, my guy. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. All right, man. Great show. Knicks will kick back off against the Sacramento Kings on Tuesday, so make sure you guys tap in there. Justin, let the people know where they can find you, man.
First, while I do that, give me a quick prediction for your player of the week, who you think it's going to be. You can find me at The Shot Clock on Instagram, at theshotclock.show on YouTube and on TikTok. And we're working on the Twitter thing. We've kind of been lazy with the Twitter thing. We got to get that cranking. But mostly on those 3 platforms. We got a lot of great stuff coming. And for any of you guys who will be at the Super Bowl or NBA All-Star Weekend, we'll be there too. So don't be afraid to come up and say, what's up?
I'm going to bounce back for Karl Anthony Towns.
Love it.
Bounce back.
Love it. Speak it into existence.
Yeah, speak it into
existence. Get the kid, and if the kid sees it, share it on social media. Let's get the kids seeing it. Show them the fan base is behind it.
Absolutely.
Let's see that. I'm gonna go with your guy. I'm going with the dog.
Okay.
I'm going with OG player of the week. I think he's turned that corner against Philly, and now he's a streaky offensive player, as we know.
Yeah.
I think he's about to go on a run.
There it is, man. Well, salute to everybody in the chat once again. Remember, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. Salute to the Replay Gang, our franchise channel members. And remember that the show's available in audio podcast format, man. No reason to miss it. You can catch us everywhere. So we'll check in on Tuesday, Knicks versus Kings, post-game live. You know where to find us, man. #1 show for the fans, by the fans. We out of here. Have a great show, everybody. Peace. Great day. Peace.